You made it. I'm glad you did, because I'm doing this for you, you know. If you read that, I've only got about 3 hours of sleep last night, but I told you I was going to be here, so here I am. Huh. Well, maybe we'll both fall asleep or be giddy. I'm drinking pre-workout, so it's more likely that I'll be giddy than fall asleep. Mmm. Stimulants, caffeine, other goodies. You take it before you work out, except I'm just sitting here, so like I said, I might be giddy. Yeah, nothing really new, but I was reading some of um, my older stuff. I wrote, I actually wrote a book, like a actual paperback, and I self-published it maybe a decade ago now, and it and there's Kurt Jamungal on the Theories of Everything podcast had a new guest, and that listening to that guy really broke something out. So yeah, it was one of those where you read it afterwards and you go, how did that come from me? Very, very, very profound from my perspective, anyway. Well, it's it's going to be pretty exclusive. I don't know if I'll post it. It might be just for one person. We'll see. I was going to put it on my blog, but I'm going to actually mail it to someone, print it out on a piece of paper, old school, and mail it. It's a big deal. Well, if I could project what I see into other people's consciousness, then they would see what a big deal it is. But not many people can see what I'm trying to show them. And I realize that so much of what I say sounds like hubris, but I can't help but see what I see. So either I'm crazy or I'm right. It's kind of when you say things the things that I say, there's kind of like no option. There's no in between. Either I'm crazy or I'm right. Did you meet people who really were able to have the experience that you're trying to portray? Hi, Paige. Um, the person that I'm trying to reach is more of an academic than a he's he's on a spiritual journey, but he speaks more of, from a perspective of an academic, like super genius type, top 1% of the 1% of the 1% genius type. but open, objective, very egoless. So you can be really, 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 really smart, but if you've got an ego that's going to try to shift what is being shown, then what's being shown won't be seen because they will refuse to see it. No, he's old news. But I think I know who you're. Yeah, he's. It just seems like I know no, it's not him. Although I did contact him as well. No, no, it doesn't start. No, it's not. I have contacted a few, so I'm get a little confused. I get confused easily when it comes to my memory, anyway. But Paige keeps reminding me that they have to come to me. So I've got it. I got it. And I keep saying, yeah, okay, I'm going to stop now. So now I'm going to say it again. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I'm not going to contact anyone else ever, ever, ever. That's it. I'm done. I just, I've pushed, I've pushed all in. If this was playing cards, I've pushed all in with this play, laying all my cards out on the table. No, no. Those people who block me, they're the ones who think that they know it all. And this person knows that they don't know it all. And this person even knows that the discipline that they are in doesn't know it all and can't possibly know it all as well. Be just like 5 pages. It took 3.5 hours to write it because it's really condensed, so compact that it it takes genius to unpack it. Not because it's complicated, but because it's compact. Genius isn't always to do with intellect. How it feels that you seem to be a bit ahead of time with this theory. I could bet that. Give it a few more years if we would have that. Ha, yeah, exactly. And more people will get it. Yes, I believe that. But this theory has already been unfolding and evolving for 7 years. So I think it's right. And you people are testament to this, that it is finally catching some traction within the collective human consciousness. How what? You'll have to be a little more precise than just asking how. Hmm. Because there are people who understand it, and you people are here. For some reason, you're here watching this guy just stare blankly out. Well, maybe not blankly. But yeah, people are starting to understand this and accept it. It's not just understanding because it is simple, but it's the acceptance of it because it really and and what's cool about the practice that this theory is leading to is that you don't even have to understand it. It's irrelevant. It all points, the theory always is pointing to the practice because the practice is paramount. And the practice is the one step path of just transcending thought. So the goal is to get people to realize the self, and that is done through the space between thoughts. So that's the goal. And it doesn't matter if they get to the practice via the theory or they just go straight to the practice. Oh, there you go. This is what I mean is that you, the theory, for whatever reason, I'm attracted to the deepest fundamental philosophical questions possible. And for whatever reason, I've always been wanting to reach academics for some reason because I believe that, yeah, they are the new priests, right? Like they are the new gurus that people believe stuff when they say stuff. So to reach humanity at the deepest level, one must reach even just one of these academics that are at the highest level that other academics believe. It doesn't, now that I look back, it doesn't surprise me that it's taken 7 years for this to start gaining traction because it is so deep. It's incredibly revolutionary and radical. And like the pyramids that last thousands and thousands of years, perhaps it takes a long time to build that base within the collective consciousness. But I've held it by myself and I've never let it go because I can't help but see what I see. So it's been percolating and germinating within this person's consciousness for a long time, and and the pieces of the puzzle last night, especially, really, and this last three days, 4 days, has really just easily slid into place. The pieces have just been very obvious where they go. It's like they've all turned into basic geometric shapes, and it's just, oh yeah, well, there's the square hole and there's the square piece, and we'll just put it in there. It's pretty easy. And the picture is very, very clear to those who are willing to see it. And experience it. But it's scary to experience egolessness to the ego. It is anyway. Yeah, but like you say, there's relatively speaking, there's no time left. The world is going to shit real fast here. Don't know if you've noticed, but the world's going to shit really fast. It's like time itself is speeding up as we get closer to the singularity, the extinction event. But if you're inside, let's say inside a computer program, I believe that there would only be time, wouldn't there? There would be more of a dimension of time that would be more primary than space, because gravity, there's no gravity has no effect inside a video game, right? So time, the frequency in which the program is running, would be the substrate upon which that world operates. So it's like we're losing a dimension of space, which isn't really exist anyway, but we'll just use these words. We're switching in a dimension of space, right? Because this is three-dimensional and the screen is two-dimensional. But because of basically Taoism and the symmetry of the world and reality, that requires an extra dimension of time. So yeah. Yeah, well, that's good. You don't it's almost better to not know what's going on, because that it's like quantum mechanics says that the moon doesn't exist if you don't, it says, well, if you don't look at it, but there has to be another step in there. There has to be an interpretation. It's just pure observation doesn't lead to moon. Observation plus word leads to moon. But anyway, I'm getting at is that your world is your world. So if your world doesn't include the screen, then it's just your immediate experience. That's your world. And it's not really connected to everyone else's world. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, well, that's all here though. It's all here. It's all contained within the collective consciousness. And it's just that in like that's why we congregate into cities, because we all want a shared experience, and that is what we call objective reality, is just a bunch of worlds having a shared experience. But if you're by yourself, then you're having your own world experience. And this one right here where I'm at is pretty freaking cool. Hi, Callie. Hmm. What do you think? Yeah, you're right. Yeah. She's freaking adorable. Yeah. Okay. Just lay down there though. Okay. Oh, there comes the giddiness. The idea is that even though I am not looking at the news, I can sense the state this reality is in a much more clear way through the internal sense. And probably by witnessing the acts and the words of humans around you. It's probably pretty self-evident that people be cray. Peeps be cray. Yeah, Denisa, you are heavily intuitive. Mm, yeah, I I retired from that 2 years ago, so I missed out on the most intense fire season that Canada's ever experienced. It's smoky. Like today is not smoky, but I would say half the days, well, I can see smoke. It's just not as smoky. So pretty much every day from May till now has been smoky. It's smoke in the air. It's the apocalypse. It's It's just the freaking apocalypse. And next year is going to be worse. So this is because the El Nino, there's a moderate to strong El Nino developing, and that usually in the past equates to, in Western Canada, warmer temperatures over the winter and less snow. So the drought, the extreme drought, if you type in uh, British Columbia drought map, you can see the extreme drought that British Columbia is in right now, and it's going to get worse. So this is why we're at the end, because things are exponential. When the anomalies are no longer anomalies, right? Oh, like this year was the hottest year ever. Last year was the hottest year on record. And that was during a La Nina phase, which is supposed to be a little bit cooler than normal. So now, if every year turns out to be the hottest year on record, to me, that means we're in an exponential unfolding. It's nuts, right? It, and it's uncanny how the Bible predicted all this stuff. I remember when I was a teenager, I was fascinated with the Revelations. I read it twice. And I have an intuition that Elon might be the Antichrist. He's not doing it intentionally. I'm sure he has good intentions, but because it says that the Antichrist is, well, will show wonders and miracles, right? And convince people that they're going to lead them to as a savior or something, and that might include blasting off in a spaceship somewhere to Mars or somewhere. Like, if anyone is going to be the Antichrist, it'll be Elon. But again, it's not out of being evil, it's just out of ignorance. No one intentionally does evil to just, oh, I'm going to be evil. Hardly anyone ever does that. It's just out of ignorance. And it may not even appear directly as a bad thing. It's just going deeper into samsara, that's all. Which even isn't even wrong. It's just more of the game. This mic is almost too good. You could probably hear the rumblings of my stomach as well. So my asthma cat. We both have respiratory issues. As soon as it gets a little cold, my nose starts running. Do you think that as the game advances, we need to exercise more will to manage to break away from it? Would this be the goal of it? Exercising some internal muscle of sorts. Yeah, yeah. It's a refocusing. So it's the one step path. Whenever you become aware, basically, of anything, just stick with the awareness, not what you are aware of. So but it's not, it's almost like the opposite of like bodybuilding, right? So you strain the muscle under effort, and then that muscle gets stronger. But this is more like a letting go. So it's atrophy of the ego. You just keep letting go, letting go, letting go of outwardly facing attention, and just stick with the awareness itself. That's all there is to do. It reminds me of my book that I was speaking of earlier is that there's an analogy. In order to break a boulder, there's only one thing to do, and that's to hit it. The only things that change is the frequency at which you hit it and the strength or the energy in which you hit it. So there's only one thing to do, and frequent you the more frequently you do it, the quicker that rock will break, and the rock being the ego. So it's not something complicated, and it's not something that really requires effort. It just requires a shifting of awareness. Because you can't dispel an illusion after it appears. You always need to be just abide prior to it arising. So when it arises, just recognize it as illusion, and then get back to the state that's prior to the next one, the next time it comes up. We need quite a bit of strength to let go. So it would be like a muscle letting go. Yes, it appears as such. And then you realize that even the apparent effort that arose through the process, even that's an illusion. It's just a subjective interpretation of letting go. It's not difficult to let go, is it? It takes no energy at all to let something go. But we keep picking it back up, right? Every time you let it go, the ego wants to just pick that baggage up again. The why. Why do we pick it up again? Well, for one, the thinking mind isn't in control. So the narrative that everything that the thinking mind tells you is basically just narrative from the ego's perspective. So the why is the deepest question for sure. But it's just because you're God and you're entertained. Are you not entertained? That's from Gladiator. I memorized that line. Yeah, so the self that's really in control is still digging this. No matter how much at times you think that you want something different, that thinking mind isn't in control. So it doesn't matter what your thinking mind thinks, either I like this or don't like this, because it's not in control. But God doesn't need anything. So yeah, it's a narrative. And I know you like to try to explain everything like me, but the ultimate spiritual practice, finally, the final spiritual practice is to let go of all narrative. asking asking why God would 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 do something like this. It's the same thing as like, why do we go to a movie? It's just entertainment. And I know people don't like it because they take this world so freaking seriously, but it's just entertainment. It's a puzzle. It's a labyrinth. It's a mystery. Everyone likes a good mystery. What do you think about tantra? Well, that's you can't get to where you are by doing something. So the one step path is the opposite of tantra because as soon as you recognize that you're outwardly focused on a thought or a sensation, you immediately stop paying attention to it. So in one respect, the one step path, the highest spiritual practice is the opposite of tantra because tantra believes that you're doing something in order to get somewhere, but you can't get to where you are. You can only get somewhere other than where you are. It's just reason. Just logic and reason. But boy, it sure feels good, which is, of course, Maya. Yeah, I mean, I understand how difficult this is because the ego, always wants to grab on to I am doing something. Yes, yes, it's a non-doing, a non-doing, a non-thinking. It's just being. Being is the antithesis of doing and thinking. So it's really just as simple as being still. in both body and mind. But can my stillness also save other people and community? There are no other people. The reason for your life is for your enlightenment. That's it. If it affects other people's worlds, then so be it. Even if you become lucid in your own dream, you still can't control the dream characters, right? And are the dream characters, can they be liberated? Can the dream characters within your dream liberate themselves? Yes, the purpose isn't just to stay alive and reproduce. And it isn't even to create beauty and whatever. Creation, there's a saying, cleanliness is close to godliness. I say that creativity is close to godliness, but it ain't. It ain't that. Pure observation is finally divinity. On the seventh day, God chilled and just witnessed. So that's to realize your divinity, you actually stop creating and you just observe. Well, thank you. There is truth in the Bible, but there's a lot of questionable stuff also. So one must be able to discriminate and compare it to your actual existence. I believe the Bible got the beginning and the ending correct. There's a lot of stuff in the middle that's a little, maybe someone just made that shit up. Yeah. I feel like the opposite of Dr. Evil. Is it? Is this what he did? I started watching it, but I'm sorry, I wasn't that interested. It takes a special, very special thing to hold my interest nowadays. I kind of have an aversion to the screen. I'm not very I'm not really a poetry kind of guy, and that was, I think, a little more poetic and artistic. I'm more of a mathematical, logical type of dude. Poetry is very ethereal with blurry edges and wanders around, and that's fine. It leads a certain personality to self, I suppose. But my personality is succinct, sharp, blunt, frank. My middle name is Frank, for crying out loud. um, and that's why I was drawn to screenwriting, because that discipline requires terse, succinct, very economical use of words. So I've never really been a poetry guy, or but that struck me as kind of poetic. Oh, of course. There's it's never completely black and completely white. The guy was basically outlining the same things we were speaking about here, but from the perspective of the Bible. Oh yeah, it felt staggering to see that the Bible taught this non-thinking practice. Yeah, it very well could be. It might have taken a while to get there, and I didn't have the patience. I don't know. Well, metaphor is my thing too, but I don't know what it was, but I just didn't get into it. Might have been just my mood at the time. It could have been something as simple as the music they were playing in the background. You can't get too real. That's like saying you can get too content. I'm extremely in the middle. But I get the sentiment. Being without boundary can be intense. I am still trying to figure out how do you experience this state, because for me, man, it feels like literally jumping from an airplane. Well, just imagine that there's no gravity. In that respect, you would just exit the airplane. You wouldn't fall, you'd just exit. You are nicely grounded in the physical realm, though. So that can be your anchor. The natural realm. Yeah, when there's doubt and confusion, come back to the natural world. Don't come back to your thoughts, because don't try to fix what thought has created in the anxiety with more thoughts. Make some tea. Go for a walk. Probably not at the same time, though. Go for a walk after. Take the tea with you. As I stay in this state, it gets so intense, too intense somehow, that somehow I cannot hold it. And I slip back into thought. but at least it appears as though your thought isn't discursive, in that when you do think, you're thinking about spirituality, which is better than thinking about how to make money, I suppose. I think you should just keep doing what you're doing and just have faith in the process. Just keep refocusing on the space between your thoughts and don't get all stressed out if you've having a bad go of it. If it seems difficult, just be easy on yourself. Even the thoughts that berate yourself for not being good at transcending thoughts, well, that's just a vicious circle, isn't it? So just keep letting go, letting go, letting go, and eventually you'll stop picking it up. Callie's really enjoying the satsang. And other times there seems to be these thoughtless thoughts. Don't know how to call them, direct knowings of sorts. I can just see know things while in this state. And then my mind starts thinking about those things, trying to put words to them. Yeah. Yeah. But that's always in hindsight, right? You'll be in Satchitananda, sorry. And then, which is just, beingness and just wonderful and the highest state and just perfect contentment, happiness. And then mind will come in and try to say, well, what exactly was that? Right? The mind will want to classify it and label it for whatever reason. And then you just let that go too. Yeah, I've been there. I understand exactly what you're going through. And there is conclusion to that. It becomes at some point, it becomes very effortless. And that's grace. Excuse me. I gotta get Kleenex. Sorry, I gotta put you down. I'm gonna have snot running down my nose, and that's not a very good look. Oh, come on. I know. I wasn't very prepared. Sorry, I'll be right back. Oh, there they are. No, you don't need a guru. You need a, there is something about external knowledge that is required, though. You need to be told this somehow, somewhere, by someone. But when you take the reins, you're the guru then. And if you keep longing for a guru to tell you what to do, then you're not doing it yourself, are you? So maybe the guru after that can show you the way by just chilling as an example, but there's no more things that can be said that will help you. And so many of these gurus, they just keep blabbing, blabbity blah blah blah. It's like, what are you doing? Because I think maybe a lot of these gurus, they've learned something, but it's not their experience. So if you've learned something, then you can remember that someone said something profound, and then you can just parrot that, and it sounds profound. But they don't have the actual experience, therefore the authority to say that. But on the superficial level, you're saying the same words as a genuine guru. So there, you can be confused to actually know what the hell you're talking about. Like, no names, but guided meditations. What are you doing? Just shut the fuck up. That's it. Shut the fuck up. And just show it. Be it. Show it. I really don't prescribe to this idea that you've got to adapt your teaching to try to reach the most people. Someone needs to teach the highest teaching and show it. Because all that really matters is your enlightenment. All that matters in my world is my enlightenment. So just be enlightened. And then whoever is ready for it, that will transmit to them. Don't, you can't, it's not like those community, like back in the old days where it was like kindergarten to grade 12 all in the same classroom. You can't teach to everyone in that classroom. You have to teach to the grade 12s. And then the kindergartners will rise to that eventually. But if you keep teaching kindergarten, then you're going to stunt the grade 12s. Growth. No one will ever graduate if you keep teaching kindergarten. Oh, that's good. That was good. Hmm. Did you ever went through the phase of feeling scared about the state, feeling it as too intense? Was it ever like that for you? A few times in my float tank. Mhm. So I own a float tank, which is a sensory deprivation chamber, basically, where it's about this much water, just enough so you don't touch the bottom when you're floating, filled with like 700 pounds of Epsom salts and darkness, no sound, right? It limits the sensory input. And if you add meditation into that, then you really go away, right? Like, so I've had a couple of like I had to get out. I got out. Yeah. So but only in that context. Yes. But a few times, and it was terrifying. I literally had to get out. It wasn't because I felt claustrophobic. It was because Roy went away and the world went away. And then Roy came back and Roy wanted the fuck out of that. So yes, yes, but it never lingers and not outside of my tank. Oh, and of course when I took salvia. Have the dreams at night changed after you've attained this permanent state? Not really. I don't dream that often, or if I do, I don't remember them, I guess. I got to be candid. I don't believe I'm permanently in this state. I'm not Ramana Maharshi level enlightened. I just don't, I'm just not. So there you go. Now, whether there's levels to enlightenment, that is also up for debate. One could say that yes, there is, and one would say that yes, there is. No, there isn't, and that both perspectives are probably correct. I feel, I feel the sleep state is entering. I experience the peace and the contentment and the timelessness of the sleep state in the waking state, but it's not very often where I'm aware while I'm sleeping. Yes, at times I am, but not all the time. So I believe that there is still some unfolding to take place within Roy Dobson, that that to become a fully liberated being. Like, I don't even think Buddha was a fully liberated being like Ramana Maharshi, or even Christ. I believe Ramana Maharshi is the pinnacle, and that is my standard by which I define enlightenment. So, by that standard, I'm not enlightened. And is audacious to basically be putting Roy Dobson on level with Buddha and Christ? I'll leave that up to you to decide. Why do you think Ramana was at the highest point and not Buddha? Because of the teaching, like a the four noble truths and the eight pathway, and no, there's something not clicking there. And I believe Buddha began with desire, but I don't think he even questioned why there's desire in the first place. So Buddhists and Buddhism doesn't really touch on the unreality, the illusion of the physical realm actually being an illusion. They don't really touch on that very much. So why is there desire? You can't start by trying to dispel desire. You have to be prior to the arising of desire. So if he started at desire, that's not the fundamental cause of suffering. The fundamental cause of suffering and the why we desire is because this is all illusion. So yes, I guess he reached in the end, I guess, because there is an idea of nirvana, which is blowing out a candle, like conclusion. But the route that Buddha took to teach people how to get there, I don't agree with. There's not a there aren't four noble truths. There isn't an eightfold path. There's no process to this. So there you have it. It's it's okay to question everything and everyone. There isn't going to be a lightning bolt coming through the window because I said that Christ wasn't as enlightened as Ramana Maharshi. This is my perspective. Why did Christ say at the very end, what did he say? My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Like, I understand that that's pretty intense situation where he said that. But to me, that's an indication that he wasn't completely fully realized. So and maybe that allowed the teaching of Christianity, that tiny little 1/10 of 1% of unenlightenment, made it possible for Christianity to get so distorted, because it's pretty distorted, isn't it? Yes, I mean, unenlightened people trying to interpret an enlightened being's words are going to fuck it up for sure. And that's happened over and over and over and over with Buddhism and Christianity. So, yes, there's that. But there was room in that teaching for a misinterpretation. Whereas Ramana Maharshi didn't say that much. So, and what he said was pretty much constant about it's just thought, just transcend thought, right? So man, he is my Satguru, and he's my man. He's my guy. Maybe this is why my Buddhist friend of a decade stopped talking to me. Stopped listening to me as well. It's what I admire about Krishnamurti. is that he wasn't afraid to question everything and just say it straight out that, Zen Buddhism is silly. Like, oh, you can't say that because there's so much reverence attached to Zen. It's like, no, it's silly. Sorry, you guys are being silly. Just stop taking yourself so fucking seriously and stop sitting like that. Why don't you just relax? just just relax. Meh. Never got into him. Never interested in following him at all. It all stopped when I came across Ramana Maharshi. It all stopped. There's no more searching for gurus or the final teaching because I'd found the final teaching. I'd found my Sat Guru. So there's no more seeking and searching after that. I like Eckhart. Eckhart's good. He doesn't have a flowing beard and long hair and dress in white garbs, and he doesn't act like a guru. He's just a dude, just an unassuming dude. That's what I like about him. And a geek, right? Like, but just right dead on teaching, just simple, basic teaching. And he doesn't usually wander off on these like Sat Guru. Like he just like again, shh. What are you talking about? Like why are you even talking about this stuff? You- It's not about knowing everything, it's about knowing the one thing. And just keep repeating that one thing. Besides, I'm pretty sure I could take all of these gurus in a fist fight as well. So what have I got to fear? Yes, of course. It's all perfect. It's all perfect. I'm not saying that anyone has to change. It's all just the way it is. It's perfect. Fruit flies. Even the fruit flies are perfect. Yes, there's different grades going on this Earth school. And yeah, like Muji might be grade grade 12 and Ramana Maharshi is PhD level. So to use a metaphor that I hate academia. Well, I don't hate academia. It's just it works as a metaphor. Of course, the graduation I'm talking about is the transcendence of thought itself, right? So it's the transcendence of academia. For example, I was drawn to Shunya because he is more philosophical. I I love Shanya, and yesterday I had in my blog that Shunyamurti was the greatest sage since Ramana Maharshi, and I deleted it for whatever reason. I was a bit premature when I said that, and when I said it, I knew I was a bit premature. I love him though. He's great. He's he's a good teacher. He's a great teacher. He just teaches too much. Just shh, shh. It seems like he's trying for quantity rather than quality. Get out of my nose. Because obviously, just sitting here in a chair and having 6 people with you doing this, it's not big on quantity, is it? It's not going to bring a lot of people to your teaching, but it's the quality. I enjoy the quality, the depth of the understanding. And I don't care about how many people get it. I care about the level at which they get it. Get it? But enough about me. It's not about me, it's about the message, it's about the teaching and the practice that it leads to. You mean through this venue? Yes. Yes, this technology is, I believe, fundamentally a tool of Maya, but we can hijack it and use it for enlightenment purposes. It's a powerful tool, and it was what led me to Ramana Maharshi. Of course, I found Ramana Maharshi through the internet. So, thank you for the internet. Yeah, pre-workout, just sweating. Frick. Uh, Over 2 hours. We got a dedicated group here. For me, it seems difficult to retain this state while having a conversation. It's like somehow during that conversation, I slip out of this state and then the character starts interacting. And if I try to retain this state, then it's like I cannot even speak. hmm There seems to be a threshold of activity that brings an individual out of self awareness. And that threshold of activity probably is in proportion to their spiritual advancement or whatever. But that being said, I don't think a fully enlightened being is capable of like hacking someone into bits and remaining self-aware, right? So, no, I know exactly what you're talking about for sure. It's always, even while I'm speaking, being aware of that from which the words are coming. Yeah. So let's say that a football team has an indoor stadium in which to practice with itself without distraction or bad weather or an opponent. And that's what a dedicated spiritual practice and meditation practice is. It's having that stadium that's where you can devote 100% of your focus to that. But there's always the outside world too. So you need to take that practice with you when you leave the stadium as well. Oh, here she is. So, yes, that is also, thanks. I pride myself on my metaphors. Yes, so that's another level, right? Is that when you're doing something, so that's why it's beneficial to limit your doingness, your busyness of body and mind, so that you can retain that self awareness. And then you will find that you will be able to retain that self awareness as that activity increases. But I believe there'll always be a threshold. See, Ramana Maharshi didn't go around doing a bunch of stuff. Like most of his time was just being, right? So there's nothing wrong with not doing stuff. It's not, what do they call it? The non dualist spiritual bypassing. There's no such thing as spiritual bypassing. Liberation is the end of this. So, in the end, you bypass all experience. So, why not just practice doing that now? It's, there's no such thing as spiritual bypassing. That's just an excuse to do a bunch of shit. And then convince yourself that you're enlightened and it doesn't matter. When it's time to eat, eat. And it's never time to like go on a boat cruise, or like or I don't know, like pick your exterior action. What is the motivation for you to do that? Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it just to fill the space between thoughts with something? You know, why am I looking at my phone again? Is it really that important? Or is that just Maya convincing you to turn your attention away from self? And then the non dualist will say, well, everything's self. Self is everything, but not everything is self. It's not a one to one. It's not, yeah. The mirror image is you. The reflection in the mirror is you, but you are not the reflection. There has to be this distinction. And most non dualists do not make that distinction. They just say, everything is me and I am everything. I'm not splitting hairs and being picky. The distinction when you reach this level is paramount. It's very, very important to make that distinction that everything is me, but I'm not everything. And if they don't understand that, then they're not nearly as spiritually advanced as they think they are. You found me again. I was in a group of people recently and entered into this state. And while in it, I couldn't even understand the language. It was like hearing babbles, but it felt profound. Yes. Even though I write and may call myself a writer, I'm having issues. I have issues with the very symbols that I'm using to try to communicate. And words just sometimes just seem like gobbledygook, like the letters. It's obviously something to do with my dyslexia as well. But sometimes they just look absolutely nonsensical. It's like, what a stupid looking word. Why does this even audibly sound the way that it sounds when you read it? Yeah, because all language is fundamentally symbol, isn't it? An interesting phenomenon. We take the symbol to be the thing. To I don't even want to use the word thing. We take the symbol to be on equal level as the experience that it is relating to. And when you see through that facade, it almost becomes meaningless, as in, it only means what you take it to mean. There's no inherent meaning to the symbols themselves unless you experience them directly. But that's like looking at words and not reading them, which is almost impossible for human consciousness to look at words, to focus on a word and not have it develop into the voice in your head, right? It's part of our autonomic reflex to just automatically get into as soon as we come in contact with with words and language, we become focused in a linear fashion, laser focused, right? Our focus zooms in to a tiny little point at the front of a linear process. Like, this is what essentially is happening, is that Maya is convincing us to narrow our focus of attention onto a linear process, a one-dimensional reality, right? Language is a one-dimensional experience. And how do we think that a one-dimensional experience is as substantial and fulfilling as, let us say, a four-dimensional experience? Uh, It just convinces us that it is, because it's adding the thought realm as one of those dimensions, I guess. In a simple way of putting it, meditation is simply learning the ability to control your own focus rather than just automatically looking at the loudest and brightest thing, the shiniest object. We're just, oh, what's over there? Like we just have no, seems that we have no will, no choice in the matter. It's it's mm, it's the muscle of will, I guess. Not my will, but thine be done. But that's not the will of the thinking mind. That's like a will or a won't. The muscle of will. I actually wrote an article titled exactly like this. See, this is why I think I contacted you. When I first saw one of your first time I saw you, I was like, this chick is onto something. But it's almost not will, it should be called is, because will kind of, the connotation is that it's in the future, right? So that you're causing something to change, but it's really about being present. So it should be called is, not will. It's is power, not willpower. Can you ever not do what you're doing? It's funny, eh? Because we think that we can change the future or change the present and not do what we are doing. That's nonsense. If I tell someone to meditate a little, they usually block me very fast. Yes. Yeah. And I have been blocked and rejected and ignored and ridiculed and made fun of because I was trying to teach PhD level stuff to people who are in grade 6. And also, in my own ignorance, I was trying to change things and people. So it's taken a long time, but now I'm letting go of that. One more last swing for the fence. And either I hit a home run or And it's okay for people to keep playing the game, right? There's nothing wrong, ever. There's nothing wrong. They're not doing something wrong. They're just doing something different than what you're doing. Obviously, it's complete, whatever can occur is allowable in this game. There's no judgment. It's just a game. It's a pretend act. It's a play, right? Play, which means a live theater or a child pretending. It's play. So let's all just chill and let it occur. And I'm speaking to myself when I say that. That's a good word, semblance. Callie must be dreaming. She's twitching. So this time I'm going to try a predetermined conclusion to the satsang. So I'm going to stop at noon my time, which is 19 minutes from now. Just giving you all the heads up. Usually I just peace out, as the cool kids say. Three hours is a nice round number. Relatively speaking. I'll probably watch some football with the sound off because that's one of those it's thresholds. It's far easier to remain self-aware while watching football with the sound off. I don't need these guys telling me what's going on anyway. It's pretty self-evident. There's a big guy hitting another big guy. How much fun is that? cheek muscles get sore sometimes from smiling so much. It's ridiculous. What a wonderful problem to have. I was also writing that it's getting late here and my eyes are slowly closing, but I'll stick around until the end. You're a trooper. I'm glad you joined our Sangha. I can tell that it's going to be beneficial for you. You're not in this alone. Everyone is you. And it's perfectly all right to fall asleep while meditating. know. What better therapy, eh? That's Satchitananda. Satchitananda is the cat's meow. When this event or occurrence happens that I see happening, this non-conceptuality thing is going to bust out, and you all will be like like the 12 apostles. How cool is that? You guys, I don't think you fully recognize what you're getting yourselves into here. It's special. I can't even relate the immensity of what's going to happen. Now, my vision, Paige can attest to this, it's pretty good. And my intuition is quite accurate. I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't see it very clearly. Now, I mean, the world has a way of always being right, so we will see. But I've never been more energized and enthusiastic than I have been in the last 4 days. Relatively speaking, of course. The only the biggest thing to happen in your world is your spiritual advancement. But relatively speaking, it's pretty cool to be involved in something that could change the world, to use a cliche. Their Taoism would indicate that there has to be an antithesis force, an anti to the delusion that's occurring. And this non-conceptuality thing as a theory is that it's the final truth is that which reveals all that is taken to be correct as incorrect. And this is the final truth. I I I have no problem saying these words. And this community holding this stillness as best it can is the root that cannot be removed now. This is a thing now. It can't ever go away. There's more than just me now involved in this. And when a seed breaks through, that's when the plant breaks through after the germination stage. That's like a quantum leap into a new state. And this is what I see. I see this non-conceptuality is about to poke its little green head out of the dirt, the soil, the very fertile soil that's been Roy's consciousness that it's been germinating in. Oh, analogies, hey? And that's natural growth. It's not taking out a YouTube or a Google ad to try to boost my views. It's natural growth. It takes a long time, but then you know that those roots are firmly planted and cannot be removed. So our collective is, not will, our collective is power, will manifest this. There's the other cat, Kitsy. She's a special case, that one. I'm gonna have to disturb you, Callie. Sorry. Okay. Say hi. Oh, say hi. Oh, there. Oh, her poor squinty eye. Isn't she gorgeous? She's gorgeous, kind of like a little bit like Mo in The Simpsons. Hey, you're gorgeous. All right, down you go. Boy, that's white. All right, gang. This has been, I think, my favorite one. Not to have favorites, but this has been, I think, one of my favorites. So, right on, right on. We'll see you next weekend. Bye for now.